Good evening, everyone. This is Breezy Bree Commentary, and I know that you will probably be looking at Blog Media Breeze. I did change my name. I plan to actually change it to Blog Media Old School or Old School Blog Media, something like that. But I'm going to keep the Blog Media. The BB Commentary in the corner, that's Breezy Bree Commentary. That's me coming at you, just telling you my thoughts on things. I love watching YouTube, so that's what made me get involved with it. And so I want to come to you today and talk to you about the George Floyd case, because I am so elated that we finally got a guilty verdict on all 3 counts. So I'm going to talk to you about those today. So there were 3 counts. The first one was second-degree murder unintentional. And I Googled this. I Googled what do the charges mean? What do the Chauvin charges mean in the George Floyd case? Something like that. And you'll get the Chicago Tribune comes up talking about it. A whole host of sources in Google come up talking about it. So this is what it says here: guilty on all 3 counts. The second-degree murder unintentional is a felony, and what that means is that Chauvin killed Floyd while trying to commit a felony. It also means that he caused the murder of Floyd and that the murder was unreasonable. So that's that charge. I don't know how many years that goes, you can look that up. The second one is third-degree murder. Third-degree murder means that Chauvin was perpetrating an act imminently dangerous to others and evincing a depraved mind without regard for human life. And that's one of the arguments that the prosecutors gave in the case. In their closing argument, they talked about that Chauvin had disregard for George's life and disregard for the fact that he was a human being, and that's why he killed him. And the third one, second-degree manslaughter, that says that Chauvin's actions were negligent. I'll read it verbatim. It says his negligent actions created an unreasonable risk of death or great bodily harm. The maximum sentence on that one is 10 years. So that being said, I do want to go ahead and say something about the defense, because I was really quite impressed with Nelson's defense. He was the only one working on the case, unlike the prosecution. The prosecution did have other colleagues. They had like 3 colleagues who were able to question and cross-examine witnesses, whereas Eric Nelson was the only one working on the Chauvin case, and he did an outstanding job. He's an outstanding attorney. He left no loose ends. His job, remember, as the defense attorney, is to prove a reasonable doubt. And so when the jury came back as quick as they did, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, oh my goodness, did Eric Nelson pull this one off? And because as you'll see in my previous video, I saw Eric Nelson as really reaching. He was really reaching. Of course he was really reaching. The only thing he has to do is prove a reasonable doubt. And but I still, at the same time, I believe that he did equally as good as the prosecutors. I really do, in terms of his presentation for someone who had to do that alone. The prosecutors, however, they tied up every loose end. They tied up every loose thread. There was no stopping them. They had an overabundance of testimony, and they were very detailed. The medical examiner, the pulmonologist, all of these doctors coming in, testifying, the experts, the personal witnesses, the police. They had 10 policemen come in, and that doesn't happen. That's what everyone is talking about on MSNBC, CNN, and all of the other news stations, is the fact that there was an overabundance of police who came in against Chauvin. And so I was very happy about the verdict, as most of us are. Most of us are. Um, I've got to stop saying I used to give speeches all of the time, and I never said so I don't know why I say it so much. At any rate, it was a really great verdict, and I'm very pleased about it. Right after the trial, of course, you had Ben Crump and Al Sharpton and the family. They all did a press conference where each one came out and they talked about, well, they gave thanks. They thanked the attorneys involved. They thanked the protesters. They thanked Black Lives Matter. And they talked a little bit about George as well. They continued, to talk, when Philonis came out. I almost cried again when he came out, because we're looking at a family who buried their loved one. Not only did they have to bury him, but the way in which everything happened, how they had to watch it on television and there was nothing that they could do about it. So when Philonis was talking, I was in tears. It's a sad day. I want to mention some of the people. Of course, I've mentioned Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, Chris Stewart, who was another attorney. This was the prosecuting team. Keith Ellison is the attorney general. He is the one who put together the team of prosecutors for George Floyd. Also, a attorney from out of Chicago. He's a national trial lawyer, Tony Romanucci, who was so debonair when he came to the stage. And my ears perked up whenever he came to the stage, because everyone else was speaking, and it was all very great speeches. However, when Tony came to the stage, my ears perked up, because he was just so, his voice and everything, he was just so debonair. Anyway, I want to talk about Joe Biden, because after the family came to the stage and they gave their speeches, Joe Biden and Kamala came out and they did a press conference as well. And Joe Biden said two things. He said that these types of events create a profound fear and trauma in the Black community. I appreciated that so much, because it absolutely does. It absolutely does. The police are so unfair in everything. They don't even listen to us. If we call them about an issue and it's involving anyone who looks remotely like them, they don't listen to us. It's like, it's awful. And I just know of cases where I've heard people say they don't listen to them. So I'm saying us in terms of Black people. Joe Biden also said that this was a murder that took place in the full light of day to rip the blinders off systemic racism. And isn't it something how we were all on lockdown in this country, all over the world. So this was on TV, and it was uploaded. It was first of all uploaded to Facebook, then it was on TV, and the whole world saw it. It was just such. It was also such warmth and comfort to know that our brothers and sisters in other nations were with us. It was, I thought it was so amazing, sadly enough. So I liked his speech. Also, Philonis, I never know how to say his name, Philonis, said that Nancy Pelosi called them. And so they were very happy about that. She called them right after the verdict was read. And initially, I was kind of taken aback, because I had wanted the president to come out sooner. And then today, I realized that it is not a good idea for the president to come out until after a verdict has been read. because it makes him look, I don't know. I don't know how it makes him look actually, but I don't know. But that's what I learned at any rate. What else happened in the trial? I want to really talk about, they touched on the George Floyd policy and reform bill, and Vice President Kamala Harris said that it is still set to go before the Senate. And I hope the Senate passes it. I want to read it and come back on here and talk about it, hopefully in the next week or two. I want to read the whole thing, come back on, talk about it. I would love to do a live on that bill. I would love it. From what I understand, the bill includes a lot of training, or more training, or enhanced training. And I disagree with that, because when I listen to this trial and when I talk to other policemen, they have the most stellar training that the universe has to offer. So I don't think it's the training. I think it's the mentality, because I really do believe that the W supremacists have infiltrated the police precincts across the nation. Absolutely. There was an expert today on MSNBC who, in one of my previous videos, I said the same thing, that I believe the white supremacists have infiltrated the police precincts. And so today on MSNBC, one of their commentators, the expert commentators, brought that up, and he said that that is a message that is out there that he does not agree with. I disagree with him. My commentary, my belief is that they have infiltrated the police precincts. And I remember reading that in a newspaper years ago. So I disagree with that. I don't think that they need more training. I think their training is stellar. I think they need to have the training often. I know that policemen get stressed on the job, and sometimes they make fluke decisions. That's, to believe when you're on a high-stress job, you're having to chase criminals all day. At the same time, I don't think that they need more training. I do think they need to be held to the standard of taking care of their bodies and eating right. That needs to be part of the strategy that is brought into the stations, because some of them, well, not CMPD, not here in Charlotte, because CMPD got some of the cleanest looking officers. They really do. They look really good in their suits. Even the women, they wear their hair back in the bun, have their hats on, and it's a really good looking group of officers in here at CMPD. They smell good. You see them standing out there directing. They really look good. And I digress, because I'm overkill sometimes. At the same time, I believe that it is the mindset. I think that it is the mind of the officer. Therefore, you cannot always train a mind. You cannot always redo someone's lack of values, their lack of humanity and decency for other mankind. You cannot always change that. That is something that was reared in them. They have to be willing to change it. Training can't change that. It can give them some ideas, but if those things are rooted in them and they're unwilling to change them, it's not going to work. Therefore, I think they need to have stricter punishment when they brutalize Black people. They need to have stricter punishment when they murder Black people, like Breonna Taylor. And like today, this was justice. This was one. Okay, this was one. Eric Garner, there are just so many. There's so many. And they need to be fired from the force without pension. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to take away a pension because the officer has been there so many years, and it's hard to take away a pension, even if you fire someone. However, you can do other things like what happened today, that is put them in jail. They have got to be held accountable. I mean, you have to be human when you're dealing with the public. We are human beings. Black people are human beings, and you have to acknowledge that. You can't say we are not human, because God created us. He created all things. And please stop calling yourselves Christians, W supremacists. Don't do that. You're not Christians. You're not, for real. I remember back in January, as I was watching the television of the insurrectionists who had invaded the White House, and thinking, had that been Black Lives Matter, the guns would have been out. There would have been a lot of dead bodies that day. I'm so glad that Tamika told all the people of Black Lives Matter, don't go out there, this ain't our fight. I loved it. And didn't nobody go either. I loved it. Stricter punishment, jail time, those are the things. Take money from the precinct. And I will share this with you. One of the other things that was reported on both MSNBC and CBS this morning at 7 a.m. Gayle King is on CBS this morning, and she has her two colleagues there. The one with the dark hair, the younger looking one, he reported this morning that there had been 64 fatalities since the trial began at the hands of police. That same report came out on MSNBC. I think that person said there had been 67. So, and you can go back and look at them, okay? Because I was shocked. Just since the trial began. Now, this trial has not been going on for a month. It's been 3 weeks. Almost 3 weeks, really. 2 full weeks. And this is the 3rd week, and the verdict is already in on Tuesday. And I believe that what happened with Dante Wright is that female officer planned that shooting. That was a premeditated shooting. She wanted to racially profile someone, and she wanted to do that. I believe it was planned. She's one of the W supremacists. And also, I believe these other 67 or 64 issues that have taken place over the course of 2.5 weeks, I don't understand why they have not all been reported. If you know they're happening, I guess maybe there's not enough time in the day. But you could do a full collage of them and say, this is what's happened over the course of the trial. I think that what happened is they saw where this trial was going, because the prosecution was very strong and they were listening to the media. The media was pro-prosecution, and seemingly anyway, in terms of their reports and, their compliments about who was doing the better job. It was the prosecution. And I believe that the police were watching the media. They were paying very close attention to this trial. And they decided they would go out and take vengeance for the direction of this trial, which was this policeman would be guilty on all 3 counts. That's what I believe, allegedly. Now, I don't believe it allegedly. It is alleged. It is alleged information, but I believe it, okay? So that's what I think about police and reform. And I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Before I end it, I do want to just ask you, if you live in Kentucky and South Carolina, Mitch McConnell has got to go. Mitch McConnell has got to go. And what's the other one? Let me make sure I get him here. Oh my goodness, where is he at? Watch it come to me. Lindsey Graham. It came to me as I was just doing this, okay? Lindsey Graham Lindsey Graham has got to go. He's a crook. We all heard his phone conversation with the Secretary of State in Georgia. I'm almost appalled at the ignorance of blacks in South Carolina. How do you not get out there with as an important election as this was? You had, what was his name, Jamie? Can't remember his name. Jamie was running against Graham in South Carolina, and Lindsey Graham came out and said, the people of South Carolina will never vote for him. You know what he was saying is the white people in South Carolina will never vote for a ninja. That's what he was saying. So if you know people in South Carolina, if you have family members in South Carolina, if you know organizations in South Carolina, they need to get him out. When he was first put into office, people had problems with him because supposedly and allegedly he has KKK history in his family. So he has white supremacists in his family. And I don't know about McConnell. I just know that McConnell is old and dry behind the ears, and he needs to move on. His ideas are old and crooked and Jim Crowish. And for him to stand up and do a speech the other week and say, he was talking about reparations, and he made the comment that, well, these people here didn't do that to them, meaning these, this new generation of white people didn't do that to black people. That's not the point, Graham. So if you can't get that point, you need to move on. He should not be a lawmaker, y'all. He is all for Jim Crow laws. So if you know someone in Kentucky, he needs to go. And anyone that he supports should not be there. You've got to stop putting these people in office who are not for you. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. No more benefit of the doubt. They've shown you who they are for decades. And this is who they are. So with that being said, I do want to encourage you to please comment on this whole thing. What do you think about police reform and new policies? What do you think should be done? Like, put a sentence or two of something professional, not something profoundly ignorant. And also, because I get a lot of ignorant W's over here, y'all. You wouldn't believe the number of comments I've had to erase. And I will erase you. I'll remove it. Okay? You're not going to do that here. Okay? Say something that makes sense. And don't be ignorant and inhuman. Okay? So comment, give me a thumbs up, and also subscribe and click the notification bell. And I have some new things coming soon. Not soon enough, but soon. I'm still trying to finish up some exam. I had to move my exam date because my brain is so overcrowded right now that I haven't been on here as much. I wanted to come on here every night, and it's just not conducive right now until after I take my exams. So, but still, just like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and please comment. And thank you very much for listening to me. Bye-bye.